Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Humm Daddies. And God, you guys are in for a treat. We have a special daddy with us today. What can I say about this guy? He's a triple threat. He can rap his ass off, sing his ass off, act his ass off. Yes, my friends, that's what we call a triple threat. I know him as the Elder Daveron. Some people know him as Ashkeezy for Sheezy. But yeah, everyone, he's synonymous with the 2010 Giants, our first San Francisco World Champions in the Giants organization. His name is Ashkon. What up, Ash?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So we're pleased to have you. We want to go down memory lane a little bit. Everyone, a lot of Giants fans listen to us and watch us. A lot of Niners fans, a lot of Warriors fans, and you're kind of known for all three of those squads and some prior works you've done. So let's get into it. I'm Jake Lucas. I am here with Joe Starkey and Dave Greenstein. So guys, let's start with what are we wearing and what are we drinking? Who wants to start that off? Joe?
Yeah, I'm wearing a Lookout Records shirt, Berkeley record label company from some years back. Operation Ivy, Rancid, some of all that old stuff. We got the music guy here.
Speaking right to my heart, Starkey.
Yeah, you know.
Nice.
And I'm kicking off my Friday with a little fuel work, hazy style. So I'll give this a try.
Sweet. David Greenstein?
Well, it's great to have you on, Ashkon. I'm excited to hear the many stories, the many intricacies of what it takes to make cool music that's a hit, all the way to what you accomplished and did in Brooklyn and New York. And today I'm wearing just nothing but a tank top on a hot summer day, repping the Dubs. I got my Pond Farm brewery cap out of San Rafael, and we've drank some of their beers before on this pod and sipping a Hefe-Weizen.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a for Ashkon also. I remember growing up, good friends with his younger brother Artie, and we talked a lot about this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Nushler. I know Ashkon was a huge Nushler guy. We used to talk about his stats and stuff growing up.
Huge.
So, yeah.
Huge.
Nushler is his middle name. Is that what you're saying? Nushler.
308, 35 homers, 91 RBIs. That's got to be 1987?
87 sounds about right. The year they played the Cardinals.
Like the 1988 card, but the 1987 season.
87.
Although no, maybe it was 88. No.
Which card?
No, I think it was 87.
Okay, what about
Willie Mays and Will the Thrill?
There you go. Yeah, I think that's 87.
Well played.
Are we talking about the
87.
wood frame?
87.
That's 87.
Oh, it doesn't. Just that year in general. I don't know. That just stuck with me. You know, some of those stats will stick with you from the olden times.
Yeah. 1992. He had I remember he sat the last day of the season to keep the average at 300.
Yeah.
I think he only had about 19 jacks that year, something like that. But yeah, some of those stats.
So what a just interesting and amazing career. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've talked to so many folks about just the disappointment of him not being in the Hall of Fame. And it's like, I kind of get it from a certain angle, but from another one, it's like, I don't know. It makes me really think about what the criteria is, because he was just the best player in ball for a few years, like the dude for like a couple years. And it's like, how many people in baseball's history can say they were that dude for like even just 2.5 years? Like, there's something there, you know? And so I think there's so much to be made for like longevity and like the full body of work. And he does have an amazing body of work in terms of like just all-stars and winning and things like that. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's like the stats play a part of it. But if you were around back then, you just kind of can't believe that dude ain't in the Hall. And he wasn't taking the juice. You know?
No.
He would definitely be the best player of like the 90s, if nobody was taking the juice, because he certainly wasn't.
And don't
reminds me of Don Mattingly. Don Mattingly was the best player of 80, 45, 86,
totally.
87 era. And he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, those guys need to be in.
There's a lot of first basemen during that time. You got Mark Grace, Wally Joyner. I mean, a bunch of like studs that I don't think were juicing. Those like kind of thin first basemen that were around. In
I
the
don't
late
think
80s.
totally, and I don't think is it just like local bias to say that Clark was in a different echelon than Mark Grace? I mean, I'm sure Mark Grace is really well loved as a Cub, and he had an amazing career. But I think Clark, for me, is just like a small notch up.
Well, late 80s Clark
he was an MVP. Was he an MVP? At least a candidate.
No, Kevin Mitchell won that 89 MVP, and Will was like right behind him. So
right.
Also, another guy from the Giants with a short window where he was the best dude going was Mr. Lincecum in the late 2000s.
Totally.
And his name's not getting thrown around for the Hall at all, which is pretty ridiculous since he has World Series trophies and no hitters to boot.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an interesting kind of comparison. I guess the thing that was rough about Timmy was just the hard fall off, those tough years. I mean, Clark had the injuries and wasn't the same guy for a while, but he was still impacting winning all the way through his whole career.
Yeah, his Rangers numbers are great.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and the way he ended his career on the Cardinals, I think, what he hit 330.
Yeah, this is a Will Clark podcast, right? That's all I'm talking
about. Ashkon, what are you wearing? What are you drinking?
Well, when you gave me the heads up that you did the "What are you wearing? What you drinking?" section, I and kind of said could be a jersey, could be whatever. I decided to take out the old Kevon Looney number 5, gifted to me by my younger brother, your pal, our friend,
our friend.
Happy Trails, one of my favorite Warriors. I would love to just gush on Loon for as much time as this pod will allow me to. I don't know whether that's now, an hour later, but yeah, that's my guy. And I'm just sipping some room temp H2O fresh out the Berkey, baby.
Nice. Beautiful. Oh yeah, I'm drinking. They need a plug. Monster Energy Drink Zero Strawberry Dreams here.
How do you make that kind of a decision to buy that drink, Jake? What goes in your head?
Dude, these kids are wearing my ass out. I needed some caffeine without sugar, so I went for the Zero Energy Drink. I'm not even partial to Monster. What are you gonna
makes the room temp water sound really good.
If there's one thing that I would say J. Lou does not need, it's a Monster Energy drink.
What are you gonna do? You like those drops? Ready to go.
Killing it.
All right.
I mean, Ashkon, you can go on with Looney. I mean, we're a Looney fan club over here. We're gonna miss him dearly. That guy was just such a team player. Or I mean, I was at that one of those last playoff games, and just the love that the Chase Center and the whole Bay Area has for Looney was just pretty unparalleled.
He's an unsung hero. And that's kind of how we see our players in the Bay. We love our unsung heroes. We always find out who they are.
Absolutely. Yeah. He won me over pretty good with just the as I know is true for a lot of other folks, the grit of kind of playing through some of the injury in the Houston series. And then, there's just, I feel like such a big part of at least my fandom of sports is you just connect with certain personalities, and you're seeing more, you see more story than just the numbers. And he's just somebody that you watched him play, and you watched the way that he carried himself. And I was just man, this is just I don't know if I'm just projecting all this, but this just seems like the most lovable, solid dude. And to get the chance to sort of watch somebody day in, day out and how they conduct themselves, you in some ways, your fandom becomes a way of expressing some of what you believe in and what you think is worth admiration in people, and so for him, he's somebody that the workman-like way that he approached the game. I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of factors. I think it reached a different level for me where I was oh man, it's not just that I have a soft spot for him and that he's kind of like an underdog, like a sweetheart. I was like really taken by the way that he pivoted his whole game after the hip surgeries and going through stuff. Like, it's just so wild to me. I feel, and I think such a beautiful example of taking sort of some of the challenges that life throws at you and making that sort of be the thing that allows you to grow into who you are in your one life, right? Like, not to get all deep on it, but I really feel that there's a beautiful metaphor there, because you could take those injuries and be like, oh man, I'm never going to be like the KD protege that I was hyped to be out of school, and I don't know, become a depressed alcoholic and just like fall off. He kept working, but diet stuff, yoga, and then changes his whole approach to hoop and becomes a rebounding hustle specialist going up against the biggest guy on the other team. And then suddenly he became this player that like wouldn't have ever existed if it weren't for the hip injuries. Like, that guy never exists if it weren't for that. I think just a beautiful example of how it's all connected and how sometimes just the way that the blessings in disguise can creep up on you.
That's a great call. I like to remind people that he had a wet mid-range. It was kind of slim, and he was known as, he was more of an outside player at UCLA.
Heyo.
Yeah, and you kind of just hit on that. He changed his whole game. And that thing that really sticks out to me is when he had, what was it, his chest plate was like fractured in the 2019.
I think he like tore a pectoral muscle or something.
Okay, so he had a torn pec, and he played through it. In the finals, they lost to the Raptors.
Yeah.
Which was just crazy. The dude was playing, that's such immense pain.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
What he gave to that team was something else.
Absolutely. I will say, quick, like, side note to that. I feel like as I've gotten a little bit older, and especially after this last NBA playoffs, I'm starting to check myself a little bit for how much I'm like into the grit of playing through injuries. I feel like that's just was something that was really romanticized and still is in the media. And like, yeah, you do want to lay it all out there, but it's a little like, I don't know. I think I've just changed my tune on it a little bit, where I'm like seeing folks like actually really compromise their bodies in ways that can compromise their wellness like later in life. And I don't know, without being too sort of sensitive about it, I am now just noticing that like, because I used to really be all about like just loving the player that's playing through injury and like wanting everybody to, I don't know. There's just something a little bit like.
Depends on the sport too, a little bit, right, Ashkon?
Like, yeah.
Playing through an Achilles tear, you're not doing that, but certainly you don't set yourself up for that tear. And then, NFL playing through concussions, we think that one a little bit. There's a little subtleties.
Well, we daddies, we gotta play 365, so there's no IL for us. we gotta tough it out, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, the degree of the injury, I agree with you. You don't want some guy playing through concussions that leads, to a possible brain damage or something down the road. I don't find anything romantic about that. But if you're just kind of gutting out something that is pain related that will heal eventually,
there's
nothing but props there.
Well, like the Halliburton thing was interesting, right? Like Halliburton had
that was interesting.
Strained calf. It's like Game 7 of the finals. He might only have that chance once in his lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like it's an individual decision. I think it's just like maybe I'm just slightly more sensitive to how like the media talks about it in general, in terms of like just really like either this guy is soft because they're sitting, or this guy is a real gamer because they're playing on like, say, a strained calf, which like is like very relevant to Steph Curry and certain media messaging around that. And you're just sort of like, ultimately it's a decision everybody's going to make for themselves. And like, yeah, I feel you, Jake. There is something to like, hey, if this is about like gritting some pain to just try to like get out there and help your team win, there is something, I think, that when you are for that, you're relating to sort of the idea of like sacrifice for something bigger that's going to mean something bigger for your city, your family, whatever. That's what I think we respond to there. But then, yeah, on that same note, kind of like Joe, you were kind of joking with as daddies here. there's also a way in which it could be stupid for me to be trying to carry all the shit on my old broke ass back. And then I'm out for 2 weeks, and who's picking up the slack? Mama, all day. So I got to be smart. And that's just, that's just silly. So
Ashkon, I picked up a mountain biking injury that had me pretty much useless. I was one armed for like 2.5 months, right? Or maybe even longer. And that was not a good look. Very supportive life overall, but listen, maybe rethink everything else I was doing. I'm like, I should probably take up like golf.
There you go.
Man.
Okay. Well, we love appreciating Looney. I think that's the third, like, kind of deep talk we've had about Kevon Looney on this podcast, and he's only been gone for a few weeks.
Okay, real quick. If you're about to pivot off of Looney, I just realized I have to say one last thing, which is that I also just had the most awesome experience of right after the 22 championship, he did like a little in-store signing at like, I want to say it was like AT&T or like T-Mobile on International in the town. Like it was super, super cutty. You would not have known about it if you weren't following him on Instagram like me and my wife Nika were. And I'm like, I'm teaching class. It's Friday. And she just texted me and she was like, yo, Looney's about to pull up at the AT&T store or whatever, Right. And I'm like, grab all the gear. I'll meet you there, Grab the baby, grab the gear. Anyway, so we met up, and he signed our stuff, and then his like assistant or friend was also like, come on, pass over the baby. And so we just hand over the baby and just have this like amazing shot of Looney just beaming, holding our like at the time 5-month kid, and it's like super, super special. And he was just super sweet to meet. Look, okay, it's clear. I stan. We will miss him. I hope that he gets some run with JP and has some fun over there in New Orleans.
Well, Ashkon, what do you think about what he said about he didn't know his role with the Dubs at the end, and that's kind of not only the money, but that was one of the factors in him leaving, because that's an interesting point that guys don't seem to know their roles under Kerr currently. I mean, it's hard to talk shit about Steve Kerr. The guy's won so much, but the way he develops young talent is a question mark, and the way a guy like Looney doesn't even know his role and doesn't know when he's going to play is a little rough. So what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it was interesting. He penned that like first sort of open letter in the Players Tribune that was all, pretty rosy. And that was a beautiful piece of writing. And then there was the plus minus interview with the Marcus Thompson that felt like it tapped into some more, I don't know, a little bit more real stuff and some of the feelings that he had that went into the decision. It was interesting reading that. I do feel like even as a fan, I do feel that he was becoming a little bit more of a liability as a rim protector. Like people were really easily scoring over him, like almost layup drill. And so that, and I noticed it because I'm always watching him because that's my guy. And I'm like, that doesn't mean that I still didn't believe in him in sort of tough moments. And I agree absolutely with what he said about when Houston went big against us. I was like, what are we doing here? Like, let Looney get in there and be physical with these guys. Like, I really do agree with that. So I think it's interesting he pointed to that series specifically. And I think overall also feel him on like, he looked like he came ready and in shape and ready to play the last like couple of seasons, and was really super, super bounced around and had an inconsistent role. I think part of that, this is a whole other conversation, but like part of, I think, the difficulty in figuring out his consistent role is the like growing impracticality of him playing alongside Draymond. Like that worked in 2022 for whatever reason, whether it was the league changing or just like we had kind of cashed out our marbles on that particular equation. Was something that didn't work. And so you have this like, which I think speaks to a greater issue on the Warriors roster, is that like, you're for sure going to have this like, kind of offensively challenged player that is like a team leader staple, not going anywhere in Draymond. And And then it really makes it so that like, okay, well now we can't have a Jimmy Butler and a Jonathan Kuminga and a Looney, guys that are not spacing the floor. It suddenly becomes imperative that they have more spacing. And I feel like a big part of that is that they have a little bit of like, I don't know, this like, you know, a little bit of a hole in that roster that's just there offensively. And that's, you know, not to say that Draymond has not had his moments offensively. But anyway, coming back to Loon and the greater question of people not knowing their role, I think it's legit. And I feel you on what you said, Jake, that it's hard to criticize Kerr. And I think overall, I do think he's done a great job like managing egos for the most part and like continuing to keep people believing in what they're doing, which is like, even though there's been hiccups, that's a big accomplishment when you're dealing with like superstar players and a long tenure. And it seems like he's just been the sort of leader that they've needed. But that's, I don't know, things change. That's the one thing we know, the one truth in life. And I don't know if that's true right now. And I agree with a lot of the criticism that there's an issue over the past couple of years of the Warriors players not being able to know their role, not being able to get comfortable. I think there's something to be said for the stay ready mentality, and Looney speaks to that a little bit. You know, there's a humbleness required to stay ready. But I think you have to balance that with trust and understanding of what your role is. Any good organization, workplace, I think to have good flow, people do need to know what their role is. And if you don't know what's expected of you, like that is a surefire recipe for people being upset, confused, communication breakdowns, and other drama. So yes, and all of the above.
Yeah, I totally agree. We just went over this pretty recently, and I said the exact same thing. Any workplace, any life relationship, you need to know what's expected of you in order to get good results. I mean, it's, you know, you need clarity and you need communication.
Yep.
So it can get really messy, especially Kerr's a guy who says, well, I did it. I was a role player. I was a bench guy, and I just stayed ready. But that was 30 years ago. Things are changing.
He also knew he needed to do one thing, which was can the three.
Yeah, right.
Decent defense. Hit the three. That's it.
Looney I also just think we're running into a personnel problem, and we were just running out Quentin Post. And you're like, well, let's see what Quentin Post can do. And, you know, he made some threes. He did make some threes. He couldn't stop anybody in the interior. And then I'm like, if we're going to lose Looney, who we're gonna get? I've been waiting for like 10 years to get an inside presence, to a rim defender, maybe a rim runner even that can like dunk it. Looney had a hard time putting it down. Played great, great defense, could switch great. But like, you know, when are we gonna get a big guy? No, never.
Okay, so many thoughts on that, Joe. That just made me think of a bunch of. Okay, number one, the first thing that reminded me of a Kerr interview that I heard on like KNBR or no 95.7 a couple of years ago, where they were talking about the issue of size, like at center. And his response was something to the effect of like, well, you know, with where the league's at right now, there just aren't really that many matchups that are a problem for us. You know, you got Joker and AD and like somebody else, but really aside from that, and I'm like, bro, that's like in your conference and they fuck you up every year. Like that is a problem. Like it is, even if that were to be true, it was just a hilarious response to be like, there's only a few guys that we think pose problems, and they're all like Western Conference folks that have like given them problems. Yes. Yeah, like literally they knocked him out of the playoffs the year before. Yeah, I'm like, what are we talking about?
It was a blessing when AD went over to the Mavericks, Ashkon, as you know, and you just hope you don't see Joker. Everybody hopes they don't go against him. Clearly now there's a little different story in the NBA and the West with OKC because their style is different, but they still got some big guys, and we have this great foundation, but we're aging out, and all the new revolving door of young guys that come in, you're just like, who's our new Livingston? Who's our new Iguodala? Match make versus they're all different players, and there's no way to just carve out, I can replace that other piece I used to have. I think that's where general management is like head scratch. What do we do other than our 3 stars? Like we have to recreate the wheel a bit, and the league's different.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it feels like, yeah, for aside from like the KD years, the Warriors, like the equation that made it all work was like a very specific, specialist oriented team where you just had folks that were really maximizing, which is so interesting, right? Now we're talking about folks not knowing their role. Actually, it was kind of indicative upon them knowing their very specific role really well, which was like kind of, like GP2 was like defensive stopper, slasher, hit the corner three, and like give us some athleticism. Now he's been all over the place. Like, and it's no wonder, aside from his injuries, it is no wonder he's been less effective. He's played all, it's just, yeah, I think that's a really good sort of point. And like, the last thing I'll say, Joe, when you talked about personnel, I agree, just to go back to like, so that it's not, I think that's the other side of the Kerr criticism of folks not knowing their roles, is that there is, I think, something to be said for the roster construction issues. And I think a lot of the times what we haven't seen that hopefully we get to see in the like amazing documentary that comes out whenever about this Warriors dynasty run. But like some of the tension behind the scenes of Kerr actually being like, yeah, you have not given us the competitive pieces that we need. It felt a lot like, when he's playing, Anthony Lamb the whole season instead of Moody and JK the year after the championship, that feels like there is communication happening subliminally between him and front office. Like, we don't have the guys, so I'm playing this G League guy because that's what we got. Whether or not he has been too stubborn about that, I think we don't know, because I do think, even though there's something to be said for like I'm ultimately not a huge JK guy. I think, we've just hung on to him too long, and I felt early on that like when there was hype around him, we should move off him. And I'm able to see that, like, based on who we have had and the way that things have gone down, there is part of me that's curious what it would look like for him and Moody to have just been consistently trusted since, the year after the championship. What happens if they've been like really, really getting consistent minutes and know their role? I don't know that it's enough to like make them part of a contender, but it might be. And I guess we'll never know.
That's like a Mark Jackson style of coaching. Just go take as many shots as you want, JK and Moody. Don't worry about Curry. Just, you guys are the two. They're the best backcourt in the NBA, right? So, yeah.
And I want to just say, to wrap this up, Ash, your point about the strength in numbers Warriors, I think, have a similarity to the Bochy bullpen of the World Series Giants, knowing your role, actually. Like the core four. And Barbosa, Livingston, David Lee early on, David West a couple of years later, like knowing your role, having that mix of role players that are very comfortable in their roles and everyone's well aware of their roles. There's something like, a similarity between that and the Bochy bullpens of the World Series years, I think.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely feel that take.
Okay, so let's
I had to transition us. Sorry.
Yeah, we got to get into some Ashkon stuff. As much as we love talking, sports and current event sports, we have a Bay Area musical legend here that is, he's ingrained in Bay culture for his contributions in the sports world. So let's start off, Ash. Let's try to get a good background here. Hot Tubbin was viral hit. It was one of the first, definitely our first friend that went viral on YouTube.
Hot tubbing on the late night.
I mean, God, these clips are so ready. I love it, Dan.
I mean, to our listeners, please check out Hot Tubbin if you haven't listened to it. It's the best. Or watch it. You gotta watch it.
Don't worry, Ash. We'll be all over all of your former YouTube or your YouTube videos with this. So folks are going to come in here and watch after they rewatch all of your...
Hell yeah. I love it.
But you're that was basically one of the first YouTube viral songs ever, wasn't it? I mean, shit was pretty early on in the YouTube days.
I mean, certainly it was a younger internet. We had put out the video for a couple of months, and then I think it was through an old college friend of mine who had like shared it on their blog. Shout out Jesse Thorne. Also, he's like a big radio host now. Hosts Bullseye on NPR and other podcasts. But back in the day, he was my, just my college friend that thought my video was hilarious, and he had like an up and coming blog, posted it, and the YouTube comedy editor had seen it on his blog and just put it on the front page. So it was like of YouTube, which at that time having a video on the homepage of YouTube was like automatically on so many eyes. I think it's a little bit. I don't think that's the same way it works now, but yeah, when there was really only a handful of sites that were getting like that heavy traffic all the time, it was sort of a like social media dominated era. MySpace was out there, but it wasn't like everything the way that it is now. And it was wild. The phone started blowing up, and it was a good time.
Friend of the podcast, Zachariah. Yeah. There you go. Friend of the podcast, Zachariah, had a big part in that video, head to toe in his A's gear, I remember.
Indeed.
Where'd you shoot that Warriors game scene? Was that in Santa Cruz?
127, 119?
Yeah, that was shot at the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium.
Okay.
Yeah. We may or may not have been like out on the street, just like recruiting anyone and everyone to come be in the stands. Yeah, because we didn't have the turnout that we wanted from our little casting call.
Man, guerrilla filmmaking back in the day. That's good stuff.
Was that a Strauss production?
He shot it. The director was our friend Flax, and then Matt also did an edit. I mean, he was a huge part of it, yes, but it wasn't a fully Matty Lou production. Although I would go on to work with the impeccable Matty Lou many times after that.
Absolutely. So I just want to get this out. I'm a huge hula hoop head. That's my shit. That might be my favorite
deep
thing
cut.
we've ever done. Yeah, it's a deep cut, but I mean, damn, I love that video. I met the girl rapper you have in there who's dope. I love her stuff. I met her in LA. I was in LA for years. I think she was out there doing improv and acting and stuff.
Yeah.
What was her name again? Do you remember?
Her name is Lindsay, and inside scoop, that is my voice pitch shifted. She's just lip syncing in the video.
Are you serious?
That is,
Wow.
yeah, that is correct.
That's incredible.
She's great.
Wow. Wow, that just blew my mind. That changed my whole outlook on that song. What is that? 15 plus years ago? Okay.
Yep.
Jake's fantasies with that rising lady stars.
Yeah, Jake is shook right now. He was like, man.
Someone else lead this. I'm done.
Did those verses make you feel things, Jake?
Yeah, they did. They indeed. When
Hold up for a second before I get around to.
That's the face I was imagining. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Let's get into why there's so many comments I still see of you. We're all over the Giants social media and stuff now, and talking to Giants fans and getting, doing interviews with Giants people. There's still talk of you all the time about 2010 and about Don't Stop Believing. So if you want to kind of, you might be tired of talking about this, but if you could just give us an overview of that time. You were in the goddamn World Series parade, which is just fucking insane to me.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was he. And I remember you, I think we're in the dugout knocking something with Pablo Sandoval, like on a speaker. Must have been a boom box.
I had a boom box on my shoulder at spring training the next year, just like playing Pablo new hits, interviewing him. It all really escalated quickly.
Yeah, dude. So just take us into that time, because it seems like some kind of crazy dream. A Giants fan, you reached the heights of Giants fame. It was nuts.
It was like a wild fever dream. Like it was really, really as wild as it seems like it could have been. Like it felt that way. I mean, there's so much that I could say. What I guess, a little sort of overview of the time was that whole time was really informed by the year before I had lost my dad, who I know, you guys knew growing up. And so it had been a really quiet, hard year for me. I had moved back from LA, back to the Bay to be with my mom, and I was sort of just like kind of getting creative again a little bit, some like up and coming like content creator folks from the Bay that were fans of hot tubbing were like trying to make some more stuff. And, they had a great, like really organic approach in terms of like who they were trying to work with and what they were trying to do. So we had been talking for a while about collaborating on a music video and like, throwing ideas around and at the same time, as a big Giants fan, I was just like getting really wrapped up in the season and watching all the games down the stretch. And there had been one game in particular where Steve Perry was in the crowd and like leading like some sing-alongs to Don't Stop Believin'. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And so when sort of later we were like, the momentum had kept building and we made the playoffs, like I was like, dude, I want to do like a playoff like hype song, like something just to root on the Giants. Side note, because I realized I didn't mention this, but my dad was a huge Giants fan. The whole reason that I am a Giants fan, especially growing up in the East Bay, was my dad, who had lived in the Bay for a while when the A's weren't even around, and he just grew up on the Giants.
Ashkon knows what to do.
Oh yeah, I say that to my kid. I say that to my kid all the.
That warms the heart.
knows what to do.
That's cool.
Yeah. I feel like I think I have like somewhat ADD brain, because whenever I like want to take the bait and run with it now, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go, because I feel like that is such a worthy story, but I don't want to lose the plot. So
right, sorry, I'm sorry for distracting.
We'll get back to it.
No, it's good. It's good. Joe says we'll get back to it, but I think I need to just go there. That's kind of the way I like to tell a story. We just need to trust that we will.
Here and put some butter on my biscuit.
Look at the ADD brain, Dave.
You buttered his biscuit. Let's go. Let's hear the story.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm going to do the quick version so that I can get back. But my dad was often at the Little League games and very supportive, very loud. And he would be in the crowd, essentially just like yelling out the team, the players on the team, their names, and saying that they know what to do. Like, hey, Jake knows what to do.
It was fantastic. It gave you all the confidence in the world. They weren't telling you what to do. You already knew what to do.
You know what to do. And there are, my dad was not a perfect father by any stretch, but he did do an amazing job at instilling sort of that sort of faith and confidence. And I really, I have used it with my kid. I'm like, nice. I get it, because it feels good to feel like you know what to do. There are so many, I think, like sometimes, like when you really care about something, you can micromanage it, that energy of like, and I think, there is some value to like, being meticulous, but to just kind of actually truly believe that you know what to do in your life or out on the field or whatever it is, it really like there's a lot of strength that can come from that.
Yeah, Artie and I were on the same team all the time, pretty much every year. So I got a lot of big Artie, and that, my dad had a totally different approach to telling me how to play ball.
Has the Blockbuster story been told on this pod?
No.
I don't know that do you know what the Blockbuster story is?
Yeah, the Royals game when I flipped them off and walked away, yeah.
Come on, it's a better story than that.
No, I'm
just... we get?
Okay, here we go. Here we go. We will get back to it all. But this is good stuff. I know when we're tapped into good stuff. This is good.
Yeah. It is good stuff.
Jake. So, I mean, it should be said, Jake and Joe, like growing up, like younger brothers to me, like just the way that you guys were such a tight knit group of friends with my younger brother, and like even as now we're just all fully grown adults, there's like a little bit of a touch of like that, just like being always part of our dynamic a little bit. Look, I'm not trying to big bra you, but there's, it's love. And I want to acknowledge it on this pod that like, there is a way in which like those types of connections are really meaningful. And even though we're not in touch the way that we used to be growing up, like there's only so many people that you have those kinds of connections with. And so like, it's cool to be doing this with you guys. And I'm glad that you guys are doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a story that I feel like has been told and retold, at least in the Daveron house, because we just thought it was just so chef's kiss. Jake, who has, as he was saying, a little bit more of a pressure cooker type energy from his manager dad, who's like coaching third base. Jake, I think, he strikes out looking, I think, on, maybe a 3-2 count. Maybe the bases were loaded. Maybe it's become hyperbole over the years. I don't know. We'll never know. But he strikes out, called third strike, without even before anything has happened, anticipating the mire of his father. He just turns to his dad at third base, flips him the bird, and leaves the field in full uniform. Just gone. His family is like calling around, asking if anybody's seen Jake, heard from him. He's like 10 or 9. I want to say like 11. 11? Anyway, this is some wild shit. This is some shit that only would happen in the 90s or 80s or whatever it was. This is not going down like this anymore. So he just walks off into the, El Cerrito streets and then in like making their rounds of places Jake might be found, they end up just finding him at Blockbuster Video on San Pablo Ave in full uniform, just browsing videos, just trying to just process the world and make sense of his little life.
Oh, no.
How good is that? That is too good.
It's too good.
I needed to check out some De Niro selections. Maybe a couple Daniel Day-Lewis movies to really put things in focus for me.
Where were you playing? The Blockbuster on San Pablo.
Dude, I walked from, I think we were at
Cerrito Vista.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a trek.
I thought in my mind, and maybe this is just how stories work, but in my mind, you were at Harding.
I think it was Cerrito Vista, and I walked to the Del Norte Blockbuster. I think that's, I'm not sure. It's kind of
that's probably right. That's probably right. I was using my touch stuff.
In cleats?
That's great, man.
That's great. No, that was me and Big Dick had our relationship on the field for sure.
Man. Okay, but I promised that I would rein it back in. So we're gonna rein it all the way back. So so I'm a Giants fan making the video. Don't Stop Believing. I'm like, don't stop believing.
Feel it.
This could be the season. Yes. You're killing it with the drops. initially I was gonna, because I was doing a lot of rapping back then, and I was gonna rap over like a remixed sort of Don't Stop Believin', and I was like, oh, that'll be cool. I'll just like rap some Giants bars over a like remixed Don't Stop Believin' with some drums.
Where did you get the balls to be Steve Perry? How did this happen?
So I was listening to the song a little bit, and I actually had another friend, amazing Bay Area and beyond rapper Richie Cunning, who we had recorded some stuff together back then. He has like a couple of amazing projects. A lot of folks in San Francisco know him for his album Night Train, old school hip hop vibes, brilliant writing. Anyway, he had actually done a little like mixtape track of him rapping over Don't Stop Believin' on a beat that he had flipped. And so I was like listening to that a little bit and trying to get ideas. And it was actually full circle back to Will Clark. It was the like, everybody wants a thrill. And I just like heard like Will the Thrill over that. And then I just like stopped writing my like stupid, like wannabe cool raps. And I was like, oh my God. And I just started laughing. And I was like, fuck. I was like, if I just go full like passionate karaoke vibes, but just change the lyrics to be about this team, that is going to be so fun and so like the thing. And so I just kind of like decided to have fun with it and see where it went. And I had the best time writing it. And it felt really good. And usually like the projects that are born of like fun and curiosity, like are the ones I feel like that people respond to the most. And the whole process of making that was so fueled by like childlike fun.
Totally.
And you could really shine through. I just watched it before you came on, and it was like, this is so happy, joyous, and it's like totally comes through.
It resonates. No doubt about it.
You even do the impression of the Will swing as a part of the clip in that video, which I love.
Oh yeah, that was a big part of growing up.
Swag.
What are your thoughts now on Aubrey Huff and the rally thong?
Oh man, you know,
Jake.
You never meet your heroes.
Back at you for the Blockbuster story.
Pivot.
Yeah, you know what did I say earlier? Things change.
That's no doubt.
I had an ex whose mom was like a really like spiritual person, and I remember like one time like asking her like if you could really sum up, you know, some real advice. I was like in my mid-20s and like needing an assist from somebody, and I'm like, you know, what would you say? And she was like, took a second, and she was just like, things change. Yeah. And she was like studying a lot of like Buddhism and other things at the time. And it stuck with me. There is, I think, something deep to know that things change. I think things change can be reason to appreciate what you have as it is. It can also be reason to not, you know, be too caught up in the angst when things are not the way that you want them to be. Anyway, so things change, and Aubrey Huff maybe did or did not change, but changed in my eyes.
Right.
So throughout that whole you know, celebrity status thing you went through, like with the Giants and you know broadcasters and whoever, people at the parade, does anybody, any famous people, any players, any broadcast, anybody stand out that treated you a certain way? Because you know we don't. When I was a kid, we don't get to see this, and all of a sudden you jump the line, and you're one of those guys.
Oh man, it's been honestly a little while since I've like thought about that time, but there was a lot of folks that were really, you know, really kind. Okay. Hilariously, Bochy is one of the first people that just came to mind. Bochy was super kind. Sergio Romo was hilarious and like cool and kind of like very much just like talked to me like a peer and was just super down to earth. Lincecum was really cool and kind, and similarly like just accessible on a personal level and just down to earth. Pablo, I don't know. I mean, Pablo was sweet. There was a couple of other like Andres Torres was super.
He was in the song.
I liked
really nice. Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I met a lot of the folks.
Love the Marty Lurie shout out too, as we are all familiar with Marty and
yeah, also part of our old scene, our old Little League scene, Marty Lurie. Yeah, Marty was great, and yeah, Kruk and Kuip were always super sweet. Like, I mean, yeah, the Murph and Mac, so many folks like in sort of the Giants extended community that I got to meet, and there was a lot of kindness.
And it's just such a unique time in Giants Bay Area history. That was the first you made that song. I remember it came out during the first playoff series.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, if the Giants like somehow fucking win this thing, Ashkon is gonna blow the fuck up. And it happened.
You will forever be linked with like the most special time in
it's up there in Bay Area sports history.
Before the Warriors
with the
Niners,
anything,
you know.
Yeah.
The Niners were pretty stale at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, that was the first love, and you will forever be remembered, you know, for that feeling.
Oh man, thanks guys. Yeah, I mean, what a like unique sort of run it was too. That
totally.
Like it was just so wild, all of it. Nobody thought that the Giants were going to win the series that year. Like it was just all wild momentum, the most oddball, perfectly like San Francisco group of guys. It was just like, it was really perfect. And there was so much awesomeness of the 2012 and 2014 seasons too. I mean, they were all great in different ways, but that first one was just like the perfect ragtag underdog, like, and to be kind of part of it was just super wild. And I guess to like kind of come back full circle to the stuff with my dad too, like it was just really, really almost impossible not to feel like there was some like strings being pulled from the great beyond as the Giants kept winning, as this song kept being a part of it. And I'm just sitting there just like, what the hell is going on? This is so wild. And then, after like what was probably the hardest year of my life before, to like be, you know, coming down Market Street and like people like cheering my name. Like it was like, I called it absurdly triumphant. Like it was like some like Adam Sandler movie shit where I was just like, this is actually like a little bit absurd. This is like more than, and I don't take it for granted. And I hope that it doesn't come off as like unappreciative of what that was. It was actually like, you know, when I slow down and I actually like think about what that was, you know, it was just a lot of love. There's a lot of love happening from all directions. And I think that should be named. You know, we get really, I think, caught up in sort of the opinions and the being right about things in sports and in sports talk and in the dominating of an opponent and whatever it is. But like a big part of it that has brought us together over the years, and I think is relevant to having a sports podcast and to going to games and rooting, is it's an opportunity to express love. Not always, but often. And especially when you bring home that championship and there's so much family and time investment and, you know, energy and attention to the storylines, and to have it come down to something like that and to be associated with it in whatever way. Yeah, it's not lost on me that what made that and what makes that powerful is some version of like big love happening. And it's love that we all need, whether we want to be, you know, cool about it or not. Like that is something we need as human beings. And it is one of the reasons why we turn to sports.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's community and the energy aspect. When you get that many people focusing on the same thing and so many people together with the same goals, and it is a beautiful thing, especially when you end up with the ultimate prize like that and you can just celebrate and just feel the love around you. I mean, we were so spoiled with that as Bay Area sports fans with the Giants and the Warriors. I mean, what do we have? 7 parades in less than a decade? It was insane.
Yeah, and you know, I think you guys caught like half of them, but also, you know, growing up with the Niners and that gold and red just being like majestic
Right. Right. I wish that were still the case, but
yeah.
now we're the Buffalo Bills kind of, but what are you going to do? I also just want to give credit, Ashkon. Your 2012 We Are the Champions cover is fucking money, and you can wail. People, I mean, you're a great rapper and stuff, but dude, you can sing your ass off. I've been a singer in my day, and the way you just ease into just monster notes and just a great range. I really respect you as a singer. You're a hell of a singer. And just listen back to, you're singing Steve Perry, you're singing Freddie Mercury, and it's flawless.
That's the top of the mountain there.
Amazing
guys.
stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we only have a few minutes left with you. I just want to, going into the great singing, your latest album, there's a song on there about a mutual friend of ours, our homegirl Robin, that gets me every time. And I listened to that back again today. When you first dropped it in October, I listened to it a lot. But yeah, man, do you want to talk about your latest album? There's a lot of just beautiful songwriting and emotional vulnerability there, which
thank you.
Yeah, and I really wish I made your last show, but dude, life is just so busy lately with kids.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, I'll just say, I guess, making that album was a labor of love, and took a lot of energy to kind of get across the finish line with a young kid of my own.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like a big part of like where I'm at on the journey right now is just finding ways to continue to evolve as a creative person, and finding finding the formula to make music, be present with my family, continue to evolve as a person. And I've been writing a lot, singing a lot, playing a lot of guitar. The album for folks that want to check it out is called 80 West. Not that you asked, but symbolic of the freeway ride that it takes from New York back to the Bay Area, where I spent quite a while doing theater and music. And then, so it's sort of a return home. Also, 80 is like AD, my initials. And also just a Bay Area landmark that I felt like was cool to tap into. But yeah, if you want to check out the album 80 West, it's available. I'm also doing some writing on Substack, and have been studying somatics and embodiment and the nervous system. That would be a whole other conversation that this podcast is not about, but I do feel like it's worth mentioning. Yeah. Just because it's been a big part of what I've been up to this last year. Essentially just like getting back into our bodies, into our nervous systems, and recognizing like the impact that can have on your healing and on your wellness, because life throws a lot at you over the years. And I think sometimes without even realizing it, or, in some cases realizing it, you've taken on a whole world of sort of, I think, energy and reactivity that lives in your body. And so it's just been cool. Like after having done a little bit of like talk therapy stuff, I got in touch with a somatic practitioner that kind of has a more inside out way of looking at it. And it's just been really cool. I've been learning about it and practicing a little bit, both for myself and with some other folks. And it's impacted the way that I look at everything, really. Including music making and sports and the world in general, sort of a return to home, not just like from New York to the Bay, but from all of the armor that you develop in a life and then back to your heart. And that's been the most important thing for me right now.
That's amazing. I think Dave and I especially but me too, would love to talk to you about that, and further. Like, I don't want to speak for Starkey because he's a pretty rigid, cold fella, but
wow. I'm
joking.
I knew you were joking, but that hit Joe right in the heart, right in his sweet, unrigid heart.
Return to Innocence, Enigma, you remind me of there. If you recall that single from the early 90s, the New Age group, Enigma. Do you know that one?
Little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
hey, I have a question before we let Ashkon go.
Yeah.
All right. So, of the many fans that are out there that love all the songs you put together, including, we'll just play this here because I want to get it in. So because you've sang these great songs embodying some of our favorite singers ever and put them into Bay Area lore, and you've covered
Jigga and Yeezy. Jigga and Yeezy. Niners in Paris.
Put them up for the Niners. Yeah, the city right behind you. Who the 5-time NFL Super Bowl champs? Could you please remind them?
Our boss so hard.
We got a warrior.
Hey yo,
that's Smith Cray.
That's Smith Cray. That's Smith Cray. That's Smith Cray.
Oh boy.
I go down Ashkon rabbit hole sometimes with friends and just go on like his 7 most famous YouTube videos, and it's such a good ride.
But the ride not complete without having a Warriors champion song here? I know, maybe you're not ready for that one. Maybe someday, but with Steph Curry at the tail end of his career, I'm a hope and dreaming fan that maybe Ashkon's got one more.
I appreciate that. Dubs. I wouldn't fully rule it out, but I wouldn't say that it's where my focus is at right now. There are a couple of Dubs jams out there if you do some digging. There's a couple of Dubs jams out there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. That's it. All right. Well, thank you, Ashkon. Thank you so much for joining us, dude. And I just want to say, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a World Series parade. Ashkon, Davron, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. That was a fun conversation.
You got it. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right.